There comes a quiet moment after 60 when weakness doesn't arrive as pain, but as a question. Why does the body feel slower, heavier, less alive, when the mind is still awake and willing? Science tells us this feeling is not failure. It is feedback. And hidden inside that feedback are nutrients, small, invisible allies, that can gently restore strength, clarity, and resilience. As we age, the body becomes less forgiving with nutrients, especially vitamin D. Muscles are not just mechanical tissue. They are living systems that respond to signals from hormones and vitamins. Vitamin D speaks directly to muscle fibers and nerve cells, reminding them how to contract with confidence. When levels drop, weakness is not imagined. It is biochemical. Restoring vitamin D is not about chasing youth. It is about restoring communication between the brain, the muscles, and the bones. Then there is vitamin B12, a quiet guardian of energy and nerve health. After 60, the stomach absorbs less of it, even when the diet looks sufficient. Without B12, the nervous system whispers instead of speaks. Balance feels uncertain. Fatigue feels constant. The body feels older than it truly is. Scientifically, B12 protects nerve signaling. But emotionally, it protects something deeper. The sense of control and confidence in our own movement. Magnesium enters the story not as a stimulant, but as a stabilizer. Every muscle contraction needs it. Every relaxation depends on it even more. Weakness is often misunderstood as a lack of strength, when in reality, it is a failure to recover. Magnesium teaches the body how to release tension, how to rest deeply, how to preserve energy so strength can return naturally. Healing, here, is not force. It is balance. As the years pass, inflammation becomes louder. And vitamin C quietly steps forward as a mediator. Beyond immunity, it supports collagen, the living framework that holds muscles, joints, and blood vessels together. Weakness is not only about muscles shrinking. It is also about the body structure losing its integrity. Vitamin C reminds the body how to repair itself. Not suddenly, but consistently. One small cellular repair at a time. And finally, there is vitamin K2, a nutrient few people talk about. Yet one the aging body deeply understands. Calcium is abundant. But without guidance, it ends up in the wrong places. Stiff arteries instead of strong bones. K2 provides direction. It teaches the body where strength belongs. After 60, health is no longer about adding more. It is about guiding what we already have, wisely. This is not about supplements alone. It is about listening to the body with scientific curiosity and human compassion. Weakness is not a life sentence. It is a message. And when we learn how to read it, the body often remembers how to become strong again. As we age, the body becomes less forgiving with nutrients, and vitamin D is often the first quiet absence to be felt. This is not simply a vitamin in the traditional sense, but a biological signal that influences how muscles respond, how nerves communicate, and how bones maintain their inner architecture. Muscle tissue is alive with receptors that listen for vitamin D, and when that signal weakens, muscles do not fail dramatically, they lose confidence. Movements become hesitant, strength feels unreliable, and the body begins to conserve energy rather than express it. After 60, the skin produces less vitamin D from sunlight, and the kidneys become less efficient at converting it into its active form. This means that even people who eat well and spend time outdoors can experience a silent deficiency. Science shows that vitamin D plays a direct role in muscle fiber size and strength, particularly in the fast-twitch fibers that help prevent falls and support quick reactions. When these fibers weaken, the body adapts by slowing down, not because it wants to, but because it must protect itself. What makes this process so subtle is that it rarely announces itself with pain. Instead, it shows up as fatigue that feels unexplained, as legs that tire sooner, as arms that feel heavy during simple tasks. The nervous system becomes less precise in its messaging, and muscles respond with less force and coordination. This is not aging in its pure form, it is biology responding to a missing instruction. Vitamin D acts like a translator between the brain and the muscles, helping electrical signals become physical movement. There is also a deeper relationship between vitamin D and balance. The vitamin influences proprioception, the body's internal sense of where it is in space. When levels drop, balance becomes uncertain, not because the inner ear has failed, but because muscles receive delayed or weakened signals. This is why vitamin D deficiency is strongly linked to falls in older adults. Restoring it does not simply increase strength, it restores trust between the body and the ground beneath it. On a cellular level, vitamin D reduces inflammation that quietly erodes muscle tissue over time. Chronic low-grade inflammation accelerates muscle loss, making weakness feel inevitable. But when vitamin D is sufficient, it helps calm this internal noise, allowing muscle cells to repair and regenerate more effectively. Strength, in this sense, is not built through force but through reduced resistance within the body itself. Perhaps most importantly, vitamin D influences how the body uses calcium and phosphorus, minerals essential for muscle contraction and bone stability. Without proper vitamin D signaling, these minerals drift inefficiently, weakening the entire movement system. Restoring vitamin D does not rewind time, but it reopens pathways that aging had slowly closed. The body does not become younger, but it becomes more responsive, more coordinated, more willing to move with confidence again. Vitamin B12 works quietly, almost invisibly, yet its absence is felt throughout the entire body. After 60, the challenge is rarely a lack of intake but a decline in absorption. The stomach produces less acid, an intrinsic factor, a protein essential for B12 uptake, becomes less available. As a result, even balanced diets can fail to deliver enough of this vitamin to the bloodstream. The body does not signal this shortage with immediate pain but with subtle changes in energy, sensation, and mental clarity that slowly reshape daily life. B12 is essential for the nervous system because it supports the protective coating around nerves, allowing electrical signals to travel quickly and accurately. When this process weakens, the nervous system begins to lose its sharpness. Movements feel delayed, reflexes slow, and coordination becomes uncertain. The muscles themselves may still be capable, but they no longer receive clear instructions. This is why weakness linked to B12 deficiency often feels strange and unpredictable, appearing one day and easing the next, depending on how effectively nerves are communicating. Fatigue associated with low B12 is different from ordinary tiredness. It does not improve fully with rest because it originates at the cellular level. B12 plays a key role in red blood cell formation, which determines how efficiently oxygen is delivered to tissues. When red blood cells are fewer or less effective, muscles and the brain operate in a state of mild oxygen deprivation. The body adapts by reducing activity, not as a sign of decline, but as a survival strategy that conserves limited resources. There is also a cognitive and emotional dimension to B12 that is often overlooked. Low levels are associated with low mood, reduced motivation, and a sense of mental fog. This is not simply psychological aging, it is a biochemical shift affecting neurotransmitter balance and nerve health. When the brain receives fewer nutrients and less oxygen, it becomes less curious, less energetic, less engaged with the body it inhabits. Strength, in this context, is not just physical but neurological and emotional as well. Balance issues linked to B12 deficiency reveal how deeply this vitamin influences movement. Nerves in the feet and legs provide constant feedback to the brain about pressure and position. When these signals weaken, walking becomes cautious and uncertain. The body compensates by stiffening joints and slowing pace, which further contributes to the feeling of weakness. Restoring B12 does not force strength back into the body, it reawakens communication pathways that allow strength to express itself naturally. Over time, untreated B12 deficiency can lead to lasting nerve damage, making early awareness essential. The aging body is not fragile by default, but it is less tolerant of prolonged nutritional silence. When B12 levels are restored, many people describe a gradual return of steadiness, clearer thought, and a sense that the body once again belongs to them. This shift does not feel dramatic, it feels like remembering how movement used to feel before it required effort or fear. Magnesium moves through the body like a quiet regulator, influencing hundreds of biochemical reactions without ever demanding attention. After 60, its levels often decline due to reduced absorption, increased medication use, and the body's growing difficulty in conserving minerals. Unlike stimulants that push the body forward, magnesium works by teaching it how to pause, reset, and recover. When magnesium is low, muscles do not simply become weak, they become tense, fatigued, and unable to return to a relaxed state after effort. Every muscle contraction depends on calcium entering muscle cells, but relaxation requires magnesium to escort that calcium back out. Without enough magnesium, muscles remain partially contracted, wasting energy and accumulating fatigue. This constant low-level tension explains why weakness often coexists with stiffness, cramps, and restlessness. The body is not lacking strength, it is trapped in a state of incomplete release. Over time, this leads to the sensation of heaviness and exhaustion even during simple movements. The nervous system is equally dependent on magnesium. It acts as a natural calming agent, moderating how nerves fire and preventing excessive stimulation. When magnesium levels drop, nerve signals become noisy and inefficient. Sleep becomes lighter, recovery becomes shallow, and the body enters each new day without having fully repaired the previous one. Strength is not rebuilt during activity alone, it is restored during deep rest, and magnesium is one of the body's primary teachers of rest. Magnesium also plays a critical role in energy production at the cellular level. Inside every cell, magnesium activates ATP, the molecule that stores and delivers energy. Without magnesium, energy exists but cannot be accessed efficiently. This creates a paradox where the body has fuel but cannot use it well, leading to persistent fatigue that feels resistant to exercise or motivation. The aging body responds by slowing down, conserving what it cannot easily spend. There is a subtle emotional dimension to magnesium deficiency as well. Low levels are associated with increased stress sensitivity, anxiety, and a reduced ability to adapt to physical or emotional challenges. When the nervous system is constantly on edge, muscles remain guarded, posture becomes rigid, and movement loses its fluidity. Weakness, in this sense, is not only physical but protective, a response to an environment the body perceives as demanding or unsafe. Inflammation also interacts closely with magnesium. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases magnesium loss, while magnesium deficiency amplifies inflammatory signals. This cycle gradually erodes muscle tissue and delays recovery from even minor strain. Restoring magnesium helps interrupt this loop, allowing muscles to heal and regenerate more efficiently. The return of strength often feels gradual and understated, marked by fewer cramps, better sleep, steadier energy, and a growing sense of ease in movement. Magnesium does not force the body into strength. It creates the conditions in which strength can re-emerge naturally. As balance returns between contraction and relaxation, effort and recovery, the body begins to move with less resistance. What once felt like weakness reveals itself as exhaustion finally giving way to rest, and rest quietly giving rise to renewed capacity. Vitamin C is often associated with immunity, yet its deeper role in the aging body extends far beyond defense. It functions as a quiet architect of repair, supporting the structures that give muscles and joints their resilience. After 60, the body's ability to regenerate connective tissue slows, not because repair is impossible, but because the raw materials and signals required for renewal become less available. Vitamin C plays a central role in this process by enabling the production of collagen, the protein that forms the internal scaffolding of muscles, tendons, blood vessels, and skin. Collagen is not static tissue, it is constantly being broken down and rebuilt in response to movement, stress, and time. When vitamin C levels are insufficient, this rebuilding process becomes inefficient. Muscles may still contract, but they lack the support of strong connective tissue, making movement feel unstable or fragile. Weakness, in this context, is not a loss of muscle power but a loss of structural confidence. The body senses this instability and responds by limiting movement, reducing load, and avoiding strain. On a cellular level, vitamin C functions as a powerful antioxidant, neutralizing the byproducts of metabolism that accumulate with age. These byproducts, known as free radicals, damage muscle cells and connective tissue when left unchecked. Over time, this damage contributes to inflammation, stiffness, and slower recovery after physical activity. Vitamin C does not eliminate stress from the body, it helps the body process stress without allowing it to become destructive. There is also an important relationship between vitamin C and circulation. Healthy blood vessels rely on collagen for flexibility and strength. When vitamin C is low, blood flow becomes less efficient, reducing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to muscles. This creates a subtle energy deficit that contributes to fatigue and a sense of weakness during even mild exertion. Restoring vitamin C supports vascular health, allowing muscles to receive what they need to function and recover. Inflammation becomes more common with age, often existing at low levels that do not cause obvious symptoms but slowly degrade tissue quality. Vitamin C helps regulate inflammatory responses, preventing them from becoming chronic. This regulation allows muscles and joints to heal after daily use rather than accumulating microdamage that leads to stiffness and pain. Strength, in this sense, is preserved through repair rather than resistance. Emotionally and neurologically, vitamin C influences the production of neurotransmitters involved in mood and motivation. Low levels are associated with fatigue that feels both physical and mental, reducing the desire to move and engage with the body. When vitamin C is sufficient, energy feels steadier, recovery feels quicker, and movement regains a sense of safety. The body does not suddenly feel powerful, but it feels supported, as if its internal framework has quietly been reinforced. Vitamin C reminds us that strength is not built only through exertion, but through the integrity of the structures that allow exertion to occur. When those structures are nourished and protected, the body moves with greater ease and less fear, and what once felt like weakness begins to dissolve into a quiet, reliable sense of stability. Vitamin C is often reduced to the idea of immunity, yet in the aging body its most important work happens quietly beneath the surface, where structure, repair, and resilience are decided. After 60, the body does not stop rebuilding itself, but it rebuilds more slowly and with fewer resources. Vitamin C is one of the essential signals that tells the body how to repair with precision rather than compromise. Without it, the body adapts not by collapsing, but by becoming cautious, limiting movement to protect structures that no longer feel fully supported. At the center of this process is collagen, the protein that forms the invisible framework holding muscles, tendons, joints, and blood vessels together. Collagen gives muscles something to pull against and joints something to rely on. Vitamin C is required at every stage of collagen formation, helping newly formed fibers gain strength and flexibility. When vitamin C is low, collagen becomes weaker and less organized. Muscles may still generate force, but that force feels unreliable, as if the body no longer trusts its own framework. This loss of trust changes how the body moves. Steps become shorter, posture becomes guarded, and movements are performed with restraint rather than confidence. Weakness here is not the absence of muscle, but the absence of structural certainty. The nervous system senses instability and responds by reducing output, protecting joints and connective tissue from damage. What feels like aging is often the body choosing safety over strength. Vitamin C also plays a critical role in controlling oxidative stress, a natural byproduct of metabolism that increases with age. Over time, oxidative damage quietly weakens muscle cells and connective tissue, slowing recovery and increasing stiffness. Vitamin C helps neutralize these effects, allowing cells to repair themselves rather than accumulate damage. Recovery becomes smoother, soreness fades more quickly, and the body regains its ability to respond to movement without hesitation. Circulation is another hidden pathway through which vitamin C influences strength. Blood vessels depend on collagen to remain flexible and responsive. When collagen weakens, circulation becomes less efficient, reducing oxygen and nutrient delivery to working muscles. Fatigue then appears earlier, even during light activity. Restoring vitamin C supports healthier blood flow, allowing muscles to sustain effort and recover without strain. There is also a neurological and emotional layer to this nutrient. Vitamin C supports the synthesis of neurotransmitters involved in motivation and alertness. Low levels are associated with a kind of quiet exhaustion that dulls both body and mind. Movement feels optional rather than natural. When levels improve, energy does not surge dramatically, but steadiness returns, making activity feel possible again rather than burdensome. Vitamin C teaches the aging body an important lesson about strength. Strength is not only about power, but about integrity. When the internal scaffolding is supported, when repair keeps pace with wear, the body begins to move with less fear and less resistance. What once felt like weakness slowly reveals itself as a lack of support that, when restored, allows strength to express itself naturally and confidently. Vitamin K2 operates quietly, guiding minerals with a precision that becomes increasingly important after 60. Calcium is often celebrated as the foundation of strength, yet calcium alone is directionless. Without proper guidance, it settles where it does not belong, accumulating in arteries and soft tissues while leaving bones and muscles less supported. Vitamin K2 functions as a biological navigator, activating proteins that tell calcium exactly where to go and, just as importantly, where not to remain. As the body ages, this guidance system becomes more fragile. Bone density naturally declines, and blood vessels lose elasticity. When vitamin K2 is insufficient, calcium drifts into places that increase stiffness rather than strength. Arteries become less flexible, circulation becomes less efficient, and muscles receive fewer nutrients and less oxygen. Weakness then emerges not from muscle loss alone, but from a system that has lost its internal organization. Movement feels heavier because the pathways that support it have narrowed. K2's role in bone health is often misunderstood as separate from muscle strength, yet the two are inseparable. Muscles rely on stable bones for leverage and confidence. When bones weaken, the nervous system reduces muscular force to prevent injury. This protective response feels like weakness, but it is actually restraint. By supporting bone mineralization, vitamin K2 restores the foundation muscles depend on, allowing strength to reappear without force or strain. There is also a cardiovascular dimension to this process. Healthy circulation is essential for endurance and recovery, and vitamin K2 helps maintain arterial flexibility by preventing calcium buildup in vessel walls. When arteries remain elastic, blood flows more easily, delivering oxygen and nutrients efficiently. Muscles fatigue less quickly, and the body feels more capable of sustained movement. Strength, in this sense, is supported not by muscle size, but by unobstructed flow. Vitamin K2 also interacts subtly with inflammation. Calcification in soft tissues triggers inflammatory responses that contribute to stiffness and discomfort. Over time, this inflammation discourages movement, reinforcing the cycle of weakness. By directing calcium away from soft tissues, K2 helps reduce this inflammatory burden, allowing joints and muscles to move with less resistance. The body becomes quieter internally, and movement feels less demanding. On a deeper level, vitamin K2 represents a shift in how the aging body manages resources. Youth is defined by abundance, but aging requires wisdom. It is no longer about acquiring more minerals, more supplements, more interventions. It is about using what already exists with greater intelligence. K2 embodies this principle by ensuring that calcium is not wasted or misplaced, but integrated purposefully into the body's structure. When vitamin K2 is sufficient, the body begins to feel organized again. Bones feel more dependable, circulation feels smoother, and movement feels less restricted. Strength returns not as raw power, but as coordination between systems that once worked seamlessly together. The body does not become younger, but it becomes more coherent, and in that coherence, weakness gradually loosens its grip as the internal architecture regains its sense of direction. If this video helped you understand your body a little better, take a moment to like the video. It helps this message reach others who need it. And if you want more science-based guidance on staying strong, clear-minded, and healthy after 60, subscribe to the channel.